What is the most cursed film ever? Well, a few people have died, and I suppose it's so cursed, it hasn't even been able to be made. So maybe it's the most cursed script. Well, stay tuned and I'll tell you about it. Welcome back to the Brac Shop. And this is the portal to the paranormal, the unexplained, and the spiritual. And I'm Tom from the shop. So welcome. And in this episode, we're going to talk about the most cursed film. But since it's been so cursed, it hasn't actually been made. So maybe it's the most cursed script. But anyway, this is the film, or supposed to be film. It's called Atuk. Now, just the name, it conjures up, I don't know, stories of ancient Egypt or something like that. But it's not, actually. In fact, it was based on a 1963 book called The Incomparable Atuk by Mordecai Richler. Now, in 1977, the film director Norman Jewison wanted to make a screen adaptation of the book. So he got Todd Carroll to make a screenplay of it. The story is changed a bit from the book because it's actually set in Alaska, in the natural, beautiful wilderness of Alaska. Now, Michelle Robinson goes to Alaska because she has an advertising campaign to capture the beautiful wilderness of Alaska, the natural environment. And there she meets Atuk. Atuk is a young Inuit who is a hunter and a trapper, and he does things quite traditional. And he ends up going back to New York with Michelle. And through a series of events, he ends up meeting a big property developer who's actually wanting to redevelop that area of Alaska. Now, Atuk finds out about all of this, and because he was actually helping them, and then he realizes this is going to ruin and spoil the environment and his land as well. It's a very, very classic story, really, because you could still it'll hold very true in today's times as well. So it is it's a pro-environmental film, and to think this was coming out in the late 70s and it's still appropriate today. And so everyone was really into making this film, and that we're going to have big names behind it as well, like John Belushi. Now that's when everything begins to start to change. Now, don't forget, if you like this episode, please click on the like button, tell your friends and share the video, subscribe, and press the bell and the notification button as well. And that way you will be updated when I do release videos. And don't forget, later on, have a look at our links below, because we do have affiliations with quite a few different links down there to various things, like the UK's #1 spiritual shop as well. Or if you want to buy me a drink, there's a link for that too. So, getting back to the cursed film. Now, John Belushi was all signed up to play this film. He was a big name at the time, still is, probably most famous for the Blues Brothers. Now, before they were even able to start filming, John Belushi was found dead in his hotel room on the 5th of March back in 1982. He was only 33. Now, apparently he'd been out and taken home somebody to his hotel room, and that's where, from a case of an overdose, he died. Apparently, they found traces of cocaine and heroin in his body. So in 1987, apparently United Artists bought the rights to Atuk, and they got another actor to take on the role of Atuk, and that was Sam Kinison. Now, he was a comedian. He was a big built sort of guy like John Belushi. In fact, that character's role, being Inuit, is a big sort of person. So Sam Kinison fitted the bill as well. They were going into production in 1988. And there was a lot of disagreements. Sam Kinison didn't think, well, he didn't like the script. So he secretly got the script rewritten and came in with the new script to show the company. And however, he didn't have authority, so to speak, to rewrite the script. And also, they didn't like what he did. And so everything was held up. And so production stopped in 1988. In fact, there was only one scene that was filmed. And it'd be very interesting if it was released, or if it is released, if we could actually see it and see what it was. Interesting. So production stopped again on Atuk, and this was in 1988. Now, there's also, I believe there was court cases going on about the rewriting, that Sam Kinison wasn't up to play the role. However, production had ceased, and so on the 10th of April 1992, he was driving with his wife to a sold-out performance in Nevada when he had an accident. There was a drunk driver coming along and ended up driving onto the wrong side of the road and smashed into his car. His wife was wearing a seatbelt, so she was actually okay, but he was quite injured. However, he was able to get out of the car and walk around, which he did. But then he collapsed. And it was very strange that it was like he was talking to someone and saying he didn't want to go. He just didn't want to go. He didn't want to go. And then he went quiet for a while and then started saying, okay, okay, okay. As if he was talking to someone or something that had came around and wanted to take him, and he didn't want to go at first, but then changed his mind. Very interesting, that situation. And that's when Sam Kinison died. So again, Atuk is without a lead actor. Now, a few years go by, and then they get John Candy to take up the role of Atuk. Now, he hasn't actually started filming Atuk yet, but he was working on another film, Wagons East, and that is his last film. Now, on the 4th of March, 1992, John Candy has a cardiac arrest and dies. So, what do you think so far? Even before they could get filming done, 3 actors, main actors for the same part, has died. Some people say it's the changing of the script that caused it, but I don't know. John Belushi passed away before there was the rewrite, which Sam Kinison had done, because they say he started it. But maybe it's a change of the original story from the book. But then lots of films are based on stories of books that have been rewritten. Now, the next strange occurrence wasn't one of the actors. In fact, it was one of the writers. Michael O'Donoghue, who was one of the original writers, actually had a brain hemorrhage back on the 8th of November in 1994. Maybe it was a coincidence, but he was involved with the writing, so he was quite close to the script. So, as you can imagine, the film starts productions and stops production and start productions while they find different actors. So, again, it's back in production, and this time with Chris Farley. However, he has a heart attack on the 18th of December in 1997. Now, he did idolize John Belushi, and very strange though, he had been out as well, and he had taken someone home, and he did partake in drugs as well, which could have partly caused the onset of a heart attack, because they did find drugs in his body as well. And also, strangely enough, he was also 33, the same age as John Belushi. So we've had the deaths of all the lead actors to play Atuk. Now, the other actors, there's Phil Hartman. Now, he was supposed to play the villain. I'm not sure why he ended up this way. Was it coincidence? But on the 28th of May, 1998, he died. And he didn't just die. Now, he was married to Bryn Omdahl, and I hope I pronounced her name correctly. And they had a bit of a turbulent marriage. She drank quite a bit, and they were always arguing. One night he came home and they had another argument, and he went to bed. And she doesn't actually know why she did this herself. Probably the argument. But she took a gun and shot him 3 times while he was asleep. And then she got in a car and drove to a friend's place because she couldn't explain what she'd just done. Her friend didn't believe her and said it must have been a dream or imagination, because it was so unreal. And he drove her back to the house where he saw Phil Hartman shot. And that's when he phoned the police and had the children taken away. And that's when she locked herself into a room and she wouldn't let anybody in. And she kept saying, for the life of her, she didn't know why she did it. She had no idea why she shot him. What was the motivation behind it? She just didn't know. And then she took her own life. So that makes 7 people associated with Atuk. Very bizarre circumstances. There's too many coincidences. Fair enough, it's been over a long period of time, from John Belushi's death in 1982 to Phil Hartman and his wife in 1998. It's about 16 years. But people do pass away. But just the connection to the main character's role is a bit bizarre. And also what makes it a bit even more bizarre, because people are trying to find a connection of why these things have happened. Some say there is a curse that if you change the story, but lots of films have stories changed all the time, and a lot of films based on books are completely changed around as well. So what is it? And this is a film for a good cause, to save the environment. One thing I found a bit strange was that all those people that did die did work on Saturday Night Live. If you're not familiar with Saturday Night Live, it's a comedy program in the United States that's shown on Saturday night. And it's been going for decades, apparently. But everyone has appeared on that show. John Belushi started there. John Belushi, Sam Kinison appeared on it. John Candy. Phil Hartman was also another regular. His wife, Bryn Omdahl, she actually appears in the opening sequences of Saturday Night Live. And Michael O'Donoghue, apparently he was one of the writers in one of the early days as well. So is there a connection with Saturday Night Live? What do you think? If you have any ideas, do write them down. Let me know. See what you think. Because there's probably a lot more, but from this brief encounter, it's been hard to know what the connections are. Because the story is a good story. It's to save the environment. The deaths have been too bizarre for it to be someone not wanting the film to go into production. And apparently United Artists has now put it on hold, so to speak. And they're not touching it. I think it's a bit of a dare to cast someone into the main lead again, into the main character. And would you want to do it if someone offered it to you? Yes, what do you think? Write it down in below. And yeah, and also we now have a Facebook group. So join the Facebook group and write comments, answer questions, and it's our little community there. So pop along and have a look. As I said, write your comments below here as well if you like. And if you've liked this episode, found it interesting, please press the like button. It helps the channel. And tell your friends and share the video. And if this is your first time, I've hoped you've liked it. Welcome. Subscribe, click the bell and the notification button as well. And that way you will be updated when I do release videos. So welcome to the community. Yeah, if you have any questions down below or on the Facebook group. And also have a look at us on Instagram. And also our links below were associated with the Psychic Tree, and that's the UK's #1 spiritual shop. We're affiliated with them. Have a look around. I'm sure you'll be able to find all your spiritual products with them. Have a look at our chakra t-shirts, links down below as well. And if you'd like, as I said, buy me a drink if you like, or something more. So thanks for watching. I hope you found this interesting. Let me know what you think. And next week we've got Rachel. She's the psychic, and she's back. She's going to be talking about Reiki, Japanese healing. So please join us then. And if you subscribe, you'll get the video. So thanks for watching, and till then, stay well and happy.